When we first decided to go to the Himalayas, I picked Naggar on the map. I loved the idea of telling the story of these houses, which look as if they belong to another reality, and of the people who have preserved them.
Would you like tea?
Chai is good.
May I? Yeah. Photo.
Naggar was the capital of Kulu, an ancient mountain kingdom. For almost 15 centuries, even today, the heritage of Kulu continues to amaze historians, archaeologists, and, of course, curious travelers. In fact, the ancient name of this land was Kuluta. It is mentioned in ancient Indian texts, in the Mahabharata, and in the Puranas. There, Kuluta is described as a sacred land.
In 600, there was a scholar from China. His name was Husang. He kind of traveled around India. He has mentioned Kullu Valley in its full glory.
1,500 years ago, travelers wrote about many Buddhist monasteries in these lands, with thousands of monks. Through these mountains, caravans moved toward Tibet and Central Asia. Hindu stone temples amazed people with their carving. Masters carved shrines from cliffs and massive stones, covering them with patterns and sculptures of deities. But the main scientific proof of this civilization came from an archaeological discovery: silver coins from the 1st century. On the coin it is written Varayasya Rajna Kulutasya. Varyasa is the king of Kuluta. The kings of Kuluta lived in castles. We saw one such castle from the 15th century. It is famous for surviving the earthquake of 1905, when almost everything was wiped from the face of the earth. But the houses built in the Kath Kuni technique remained standing. And not only the castle, the houses of ordinary people survived as well. These houses are built like a construction set, almost like Lego, with alternating layers of wood and stone. For some reason, the internet often says that the name of this technique, Kath Kuni, means wood and stone. But in fact, Kath Kuni is translated as wooden corner.
A composite construction of wood and stone. But the emphasis in the name is basically on the corner, because corner is where you kind of bring the two beams of wood from one side to another side. At that corner, they all tie together with wooden joineries. So no use of iron also there. And when it becomes entirely a proper framework, it becomes a very earthquake resilient structural system.
In these houses, there are no rigid connections, no nails, and no mortar. That is why the structure can shift and move. During an earthquake, a stiff structure can break. But these beams and stones move back and forth. They sway. And then, under their own weight, they find their balance again.
Like this, one log is this one, and one log is this one, they are putting there. Then after the carpenter, they make hole in downside also, and they make hole another log upside also, like 3 inch. Then put the one wooden nail in this one and this one. Then they grip. Suppose the earthquake will come, land will be moved here. But this nail will be hold that log surrounding area for whole house. House will be moved like that, but the nail can't go out because it make like this.
Okay.
So house can't go there. It is 100% safe from earthquake.
Another remarkable part of these houses is their roofs. They are made of large slate slabs. Today, in some restored places, you can see mortar. But originally, the slabs were simply laid one on top of another, without any fastenings or mortar at all. They were held in place only by their own weight and by the incredible skill of the people who put them in place. But in Naggar, these beautiful roofs are becoming fewer and fewer. More and more of them are being replaced by metal roofing. So we decided to go up into the mountains, to the traditional Himalayan village Sharan. We were told that there we would see ancient Kath Kuni houses, just as they had been built hundreds of years ago. According to scientific data, some houses more than 500 years old have survived to this day. In the village, we immediately saw many slate roofs. But where are that houses in their original form? We saw modern concrete buildings and tiled paths as well. But after walking just a little farther, we came upon a real wonder. Here it was, the classic structure of a Kath Kuni house. Above on the second floor there is a wide carved balcony. Below it are 2 more floors. And this kind of house survived even strong earthquakes. It is simply astonishing.
Very beautiful house. Very beautiful.
It depends on you.
What depend on me?
Good or not.
Yes, nice. आपका घर है. आपका घर है.
Oh, yes.
हाँ.
It's nice.
Your house. Can I come?
Yes, okay.
Wow.
That is how we met the owner of a real Kath Kuni house.
Now I'm renovate this. This is my forefather property. 350 years.
Ah, so it was old, but then you make windows and you.
For ventilation.
Yes.
In old time, here live cows, sheep, etc. Yes.
Okay. So show us balcony.
Balcony. This is balcony.
Can we go? We can take shoes off.
This is a local tradition. If somebody wants to hear, I don't know what is it. Casteism is problem. If you want ground floor, you can ground floor.
We found out that, according to local tradition, we could not enter the house because the owner did not know our caste.
Thank you so much.
We were only allowed to see the ground floor. Dennis felt a little upset and decided to leave. But I still chose to accept the invitation and see the ground floor.
Ganesha. This is the Ganesha.
Is it old or new?
No, this is old. This is old and this one is also oldest.
This is oldest.
Oh, yeah.
How old is
This is 500 years. Yeah. In ground floor, I can allow you.
it? No. Okay.
No payment,
Okay.
no charges.
Okay.
No ground floor.
But all this new. This is cement.
No, this is the mud.
Mud?
This is the mud. This is the mud. In summer you feel cold. Now time
Yes.
you feel cold.
Yes.
This is mud.
Okay.
Cow.
And cow dung. Winter it will be hot here.
Hot, yeah.
Okay.
This is the technique of these houses.
But for me, it's more interesting to see something really old. This is this, but it's look like renovating.
I'm renovating. Now the people are need such type of house. This is a big stone in first floor. 1 5.
Is it?
This is the stone.
This is a stone. It's a.
This is the big stone.
Yes, for fire.
Why?
You make fire inside the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the big stone.
We wanted something truly ancient, and here it was, a huge stone. 300 years ago, local people made fires on it, right inside the house. I had never heard of anything like this before, but we can imagine it.
These are ventilation, for ventilation.
It was.
In old time, on such type of windows are.
It was always this type of window.
Oh yeah, in full house.
In full house.
Oh yes, with the small windows, such type of.
Oh, so it
No
will,
ventilation, no full window, full
so it will
window.
be very dark inside.
This is no problem.
But how people create light inside in that
Yes.
time?
The fire inside the house and then this. Here and there. Wide door, windows, small windows.
When you were a child, you lived in that kind of houses.
Yes, of course.
How did you feel inside this house?
In old house, we have not made that big window. Small window, little light for inside, and only one door. Its advantage is that we can feel warm in room our room in winter, because here winter goes around 6-7 months. And if you go to inside, make little fire inside, then after become the hot whole room.
And you made fire just in the room, in the open space?
Yeah, but earlier make that they put the fire in the open place, and later we will make some fireworks.
If I put fire, open fire, how can I sit in the house?
But nowadays not make like that open fire. Earlier, earlier if they put the fire, they will sit down inside, not stand up. When they stand, then go out only, and otherwise they will sit inside the like this downside.
Downside?
Yeah.
Because
Because
the
they-
smoke go up.
Slowly it will be go slowly. In winter, all people come from Naggar, from here, there, and take gossip in front of around that fireworks.
Nice.
People still live in these wonderful houses, but little by little they adapt the homes of their ancestors to modern life. Now, between the old beams and stones, we can see some cement. Large windows have appeared. And beside the horns that traditionally protect the entrance, we now see electric wiring. But some ancient methods still remain. For example, cow dung is still added to the plaster. And often the plaster is made without cement at all. Only mud and cow dung are used. Ancient builders believed that cow dung made the plaster stronger and more breathable, and it also protects against bacteria. Modern science confirms all of this.
See, in these houses, they are made from wood, mud and stone. All the three are natural materials. They are breathable materials. The life of wood is very long. Wood absorbs carbon. Stone gives you a very good thermal comfort. Mud, plaster, allows your walls to breathe. They are porous, they are non-toxic. If you look at from local people's version or the eyes who have lived and experienced that kind of life, for them to leave this would be very tough. You don't want to go to a downgrade quality of life. Definitely there are some doubts where people think that okay, these are dark houses, these are short houses. That can easily be changed by modern way of planning, by modern way of space planning, designing.
For the people of the Himalayas, architecture was a dialogue with the earth. For building, they used what surrounded them, the forests dense in those days, granite which holds weight so well, simple stones, and of course slate, a stone that splits easily. It was used for courtyard paving and for roofs. These slabs were cut by hand in the mountains. The stone was split along its natural lines, and then carried to the village on mules.
How old is this place? This village?
I don't know for 1,000 years minimum.
In the Himalayas, exact dates are often unknown. European researchers believe that the Kath Kuni method began in the 6th century AD, but Indian researchers do not agree with them.
The architecture is very ancient. It's unfortunate that we don't have an exact date of remembering back when it was started, but the researchers, the travel logs, they suggest it is much more older than even 6th century, and the references in mythology are even older. So my point is that there were some other versions of the same Kathkuni or Dhaji Diwari technique. As a fundamental architecture system, it was already very, very old.
Many of the ancestors of the people of Sharan migrated from Malana. This village lies even higher in the mountains. It is famous for its strict traditions. Here stands the temple of the Malana community in Sharan. The information board says, "The temple is a sacred place for making decisions." In Malana society, there has been a parliament since ancient times. On this stone in front of the temple, the elders discussed important matters. But the decisions were made not by them, but by the oracle, a priest who entered a trance and spoke in the voice of the deity. The people of Malana are generally not even supposed to touch foreigners. But our new friend from Sharan is not so strict in following these rules. By the 1960s and 1970s, much of the Himalayan forest had been cut down. Now, tree felling is forbidden by the government. Local people still build houses with wood and stone, but there is much less wood here than in traditional houses. Chandra, the owner of the hotel, says that building a house by the old methods has now become too expensive.
Because by the wood, because wood is very costly. Like this wood is very costly, this one, and its life is more than 1,000 years. Its soil is very fantastic for health also, and for perfume also. Its English name is cedar tree. Hindi say deodar, and deodar means God's wood. Devdar, they means God, and Dar means God's wood. And especially you see here the temple and some holy places, they are built by that technique and that wood.
Himalayan cedar, deodar. Here it is. The true magic of the Himalayas. A cow is licking an old wooden beam, and not without reason. Even a 100-year-old deodar beam can still smell of wood, resin, and oils. This tree is incredibly rich in natural resins and aromatic compounds. It creates a unique eco-environment. In these deodar forests, the people of Kulu gathered roots and herbs for food and for medicine. Since ancient times, asthma, malaria, skin diseases, and much more were successfully treated here. Compared to the cedar pines of Russia and Europe, deodar lives longer, around 1,000 years or even more, and it grows taller too, sometimes reaching 70 meters. It is almost like a skyscraper in the forest. Deodar's resins and oils are its real superpower. Thanks to them, deodar is remarkably resistant to rot. And the huge deodar cones are the best souvenir for a traveler. We decided to see one more village, Rumsu. It is also not far from Naggar, even higher in the mountains. The weather changed and promised us a beautiful cloudy day. And our friends from Naggar told us that in Rumsu we would see something especially impressive. When we arrived, a religious event was taking place in the main square. I noticed an ancient Kath Kuni wall and began to film it, and I was told not to.
Why I can get close?
Someone, leather and something else.
I don't have leather, no.
Don't touch the temple.
I can. This is a temple.
Yeah.
How old is it?
I think 250, 300 years old.
What's the name of the temple?
Shri Jamlurshi Temple.
Thank you so much.
It turned out that this was also a temple of people whose ancestors had migrated from Malana. Women in traditional dress had gathered in the temple. The men stood outside and waited, and the gurus, the elders, were chanting. They were hidden behind this canopy. It may have been a serious ritual, and most likely the local people were not very happy to see outsiders at such a moment. So we decided to walk deeper into the village. This is one of the most beautiful and best preserved villages. We were amazed almost at every step. I want you to show how huge these slabs are here. The people of the Himalayas laid these slabs around their homes hundreds of years ago. Look! This door is about this high. Here in Rumsu, we saw this type of carving for the first time. Not just patterns, but whole stories of life. And here is the master who built this house, a little to the right of the center. People still live in many of these old houses. You can tell by the shoes at the entrance. And nearby there are modern brick or concrete houses. They often belong to the same family. We were admiring the architecture and enjoying the nature when suddenly someone called out to us. Have they finally invited you in for tea?
Yeah, but they still won't let you into the house.
Dennis was very upset because of local traditions. He could not see what a traditional Himalayan house looks like inside.
Very nice.
My very limited knowledge of Hindi was not enough for a conversation, so we used Google Translate. How old is your house?
Huh?
This house is only 12 years old. Just 12 years old, guys.
Bara?
Есть ли у вас старый дом?
Do you have an old house too?
Our old house is over there. That's where the cows and the bull live. Our old house is already 100 years old.
So 100. So sana. Where? There?
It's right there, just behind this house. It's very small, that old house.
We saw an old house that had been beautifully preserved. Its original structure was left unchanged. In front of the house was a large slate courtyard. Metal had been mined in the Kulu Valley since ancient times. Copper and silver coins were already in use here in the 1st century. So, why was metal never used in the construction of these houses?
Let's say the consciousness or the knowledge or the wisdom of materials. Wood along with iron will make it rust very quickly. Like if you have iron nails on the corner, the water will definitely fall on it, it will rust, and hence the corner will become weak. And definitely wooden joineries are much better. So if you join wood with wood, the life of the building is longer. In the spaces where the water connection was not there, people used iron also to lock, to kind of make these chains. They consciously chose not to use iron in the structural areas.
In the villages of Kulu, people not only preserve old houses but also make clothes in the traditional way. This woman's costume was entirely sewn and even woven by her own hands.
You see, it's stitched here. This is the stitch that joins the fabric.
Today, many families move into more modern houses, and animals now live in the old ones. But in the old days, cows lived on the ground floor of every house. It was simply necessary.
These animals are valued not only for the milk they give. The heat from the cows also rises upward. So in a way, they are natural heaters. You just have to fuel them with hay.
2 cows living on the lower floor can replace a couple of electric heaters for the people living on the floor above.
It feels like we're in a historical film.
I was struck by a large 3-story building with 2 balconies on the 1st and 3rd floors. Is this a temple? I asked. The high stone porch is built of large slate slabs, and the carving looks like an illustration from an ancient book.
All the old carvings are basically representing the life of villages. You know, it was a narrative. It's like a song. You are writing a song on a village or you are carving. So it's basically showing a story. So somewhere you will see a story of, let's say, people dancing, which is the local folk dance. You'll also see people with instruments. That's basically for a celebration or to mark some kind of an important event where people came together. Then you will see a lot of local flora in the carvings. So that was basically the inspiration of nature.
In every group of carvings, we noticed erotic motifs. And this is not only in the villages. In Naggar itself, in a wooden temple, there is this kind of carved detail. And in stone temples too. For example, in the famous Gauri Shankar, we also see such motifs.
And if you see old Himachali we were very open towards this. Now people are getting very kind of narrow-minded or whatever. Earlier it was a much more open system of even marriages. Women here were much more stronger in terms of the society than in other parts, because they used to take a lot of work also, pride also and things. But now, because of this I would say a dilution of thought, and you have forgotten your own kind of past, So you are trying to follow whatever is being feeded by the mass, things. It is getting demeaned, like a caste system also. It was never this way.
Well, nobody can invite us to shoot the house because we
Yeah.
are out of their
Yeah,
caste.
yeah.
So it's not a long tradition.
Yeah, no. The thing is, it has been carrying down from 3-4 generations now, for sure.
So if we come here 100 years ago, they invited us.
They invited, yeah. Some people invited, yeah. That's better now. So that's what I'm saying. More or less 180 years back, things were very different.
More democratic,
More democratic, more friendly, more. The caste system was a very different system than what it is today. Yeah. Now it is full of superstitions and power game. Earlier it was a better management of your village resources and people.
We noticed these circles in Naggar at a hotel. We wondered what they meant. You can see them on the oldest temples and on modern homes as well. Since ancient times, the circle has been a symbol of protection. The traditions here have never been broken. And now modern teenagers return from school to these remarkable old houses. They are growing up in a world where modern technology and ancient rituals coexist.
Jap means puja.
It's like a
Rituals must, 7 or 9 Brahmins, priests. Yes, they are doing japa for 2-3 days. It was its final day, its third day. The Purna Huti has been completed. So now the Brahm Bhoj will happen.
How many people live here? Won't be thousands.
Yeah, maybe 1,000 plus.
1,000 plus.
1,000 plus.
And how many children? A lot of kids here?
Kids?
Yes.
Kids, maybe 300 plus kids.
And it's interesting. Television, internet here.
Yes.
Everything is connected,
Yes.
right?
Yes. You can see the towers over there.
Yeah.
Telecom towers. So 5G net is.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of these girls, growing up here and being raised in these traditions, will become an architect and build houses that combined modern technology with the wisdom of their ancestors.
Because of the industrial area and the need of fast and cheap, and that was basically 50 years back we were trying to push towards that kind of a infrastructure development. Now there again that wisdom will come into play, and people who are looking for a longevity of a building and definitely a more connection with human beings, reflecting back to your emotions, to your behavior, to your needs.
In Naggar, there are houses that combine modern design with the ancient methods of Kath Kuni. One of these houses is the studio of the artist Rinko. And here is Jamlu, the main deity of Malana. Jamlu is one of the 7 great sages of India, the guardian of these mountains. In Rumsu, which we'd just visited, rituals were made to Jamlu.
Like we have in Naggar 2 goddesses. One is like Tara, Patanti, and second is Tripura Sundari. And here is a Tripura Sundari mask.
This modern vision of the goddess is one of Rinko's paintings that I loved most. He is well known here. Reproductions of his works can be seen in hotels and tourist restaurants. But for us, the main interest now is Rinko's house. It too is a work of art. Its construction began with what seemed like a chance meeting. 15 years ago, Rinko met a sculptor from America.
Her name is Nancy Hamilton Rice. Then she say, I'm also artist. You artist, I'm artist. I want to build one art studio in Naggar. I like old house, very old house, like wooden stone house. And that lady, she also love this type of house. She say, I don't like chopped stone. They look like bricks. She want like a natural, like pick the stone and just put on the wall. And we use inside like cow dung, we use red clay, we use pine needles, and all together we build this ball. And this is also good for health. Like this can be say this is like breathing house. This stone, before people they use on the roof, little bigger one, and we cut it. We give a small shape to make this ball is like a round for this.
What stone you use for the floor?
That stone also we use for roof, and we cut it like some green color, some like silver color, and we use all these colors, look like a natural like painting, like art. And that stone we call here mountain blue stone, blue rocks, and you can find everywhere here in mountain. We keep like more windows, more light can come inside while we are painting, and all artists can sit and paint in natural light.
In winter time it could be cold here.
In winter this house is like a freezer. In winter time just this house is not used.
That's why maybe in old houses they didn't use big windows. They have so small windows.
Old house, like traditional house, they build small window, small door. Many snow leopard, bears, they cannot come inside the house because this is all forest before. That's why people they build a small window, like animals cannot enter inside, and also cold cannot enter inside.
And about the roofs, why they made these massive roofs so strong?
Roof because of snow. Because before like 5 feet, 6 feet snow, if the roof is not strong, then easily can collapse. That's why they use a very thick stone and a big piece of wood.
Kath Kuni houses stand for hundreds years as if nothing can touch them. And yet, modern life sets its own rules. The Himalayas are no longer the same. More often we see brick and concrete cottages in the valley. Their life is not as long, but cement is easier to use than dung and pine needles. Against this simplification and this gradual move away from old wisdom, North appeared, a research center and a studio created by Rahul Bhushan. He is not only reviving this ancient architecture but also creating a modern version of it.
You can't divide it into rules, like you are practicing yoga or you are practicing Ayurveda. If you know about that, you know that every individual person, it will be different. Same for the architecture, same for the rules of society. It is very unique and very typical to each person. You can't make thumb rules in such cases. You have to understand the basics, and if you understand the basics, your decisions and your choices will be right. But you will have to take a decision on a case-to-case basis, project to project, person to person. Every time it is special, custom designed,
Himalayan architecture is based on the system of Vastu, which has existed in India for 5,000 years. The idea of Vastu is to build homes in harmony with the universal laws that govern nature. These laws give people health, prosperity, and spiritual growth.
Vastu is basically the old knowledge of building, like architecture. It is a Indian concept. For example, there is yoga, there is Ayurveda, there is Vastu. Yoga is for your body, Ayurveda is for food, Vastu is for spaces, for home, for building.
I want to keep in this painting my Himachal culture, keep like our traditional house alive for thousands of years. Because slowly people they are building like concrete house because they don't have choice. Wood very expensive, and in this painting I'm keeping them like traditional house, and also ladies who is wearing pattu, we call pattu, like a shawls, like traditional clothes, very warm. Some men they are playing drums with old traditional clothes, and 2 ladies they are carrying like corn basket, and they dry on the roof, like all that is yellow, that is corn, and with 2-3 sheep. Like I want to keep Himachali culture in this painting inside.
And the ancient town lives a modern life. Everywhere there are wires, satellite dishes and solar panels. And slowly the old slate roofs are being replaced by metal tiles.